They say work hard and you'll get ahead, but I'm just breaking my back instead. And in place just to stay in the race. We built blood in the dirt. We built this town with our two hands. Blood in the dirt, sweat in the sand. They make the rules, we make it stand. Yeah, this land runs on the working man. We built this town with our two hands. Blood in the dirt, sweat in the sand. They make the rules, we make it stand.
Yep.
Yeah, this land runs on the working man.
I was a 10-year train wreck with the last call long neck. I was searching, I've been hurt real bad. Moving on, getting sidetracked. One step forward and 5 back. Not your fault, I was scared to fall. And I don't know why you saw something in me, baby. Girl, but you saw right through all the pain and you came and saved me. Yeah, I know you didn't leave me lonely. Weren't the one who put the heartbreak on me. Picked up the pieces. It wasn't the mess that you made. Could've left it just the way you found me. But you came and put your wings around me. Girl, you went out of your way to fix what you didn't break. You were the star in the pitch black. Shine the way on the way back. Out of nowhere, answered all my prayers. Picked up the towel that I threw in. Took in a heart that was ruined. Show me the past ain't a tattoo. Love me even when you didn't have to. Yeah, I know you didn't leave me lonely. Weren't the one who put the heartbreak on me. Picked up the pieces. It wasn't the mess that you made. Could've left it just the way you found me. But you came and put your wings around me. Girl, you went out of your way to fix what you didn't break. You fixed what you didn't break. And I don't know why you saw something in me, baby. Girl, but you saw right through all the pain and you came and saved me. Yeah, I know you didn't leave me lonely. Weren't the one who put the heartbreak on me. Picked up the pieces. It wasn't the mess that you made. Could've left it just the way you found me. But you came and put your wings around me. Girl, you went out of your way to fix what you didn't break. You fixed what you didn't break. If I saw you in a bar, someone else's arms, it would break my heart. But I try to be happy, knowing that you're happy. But why would I even try to hide what I feel inside? Girl, when you look at me, I think I go crazy. Nothing could save me. Thinking you hate me would break me in two. Baby, I don't wanna know what alone looks like. Staring at my phone in the middle of the night in a king-size bed, baby, cold as ice. I don't wanna know what alone looks like. Out salty ground, whiskey whispers in the air, stars are spinning round. A six-string strums, a fire burns, shadows start to dance. This ain't just a bar tonight, it's a second chance. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, feel that rhythm catch the beat. Rodeo lights, they're shining bright. We're gonna party till the morning light. Raise your hands, shout it loud, we're the wild ones in the crowd. Rodeo lights, oh, take us high. This ain't just a song, it's our battle cry. Fiddle hums, hearts begin to race. The bass drops in and every soul is lost in this embrace. Cowboy hats and glitter glow, a fusion of two worlds. Country roots with EDM, let that flag unfurl. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, feel that rhythm, catch the beat. Rodeo lights, they're shining bright. We're gonna party till the morning light. Raise your hands, shout it loud, we're the wild ones in the crowd. Rodeo lights, oh, take us high. This ain't just a song, it's our battle I got that neon glow in your country eyes. You move slow, then you jump on time when the kick drum meets that whiskey line. Stop once, clap twice, hey, feel that rolling dice. Are you ready for the ride tonight? Are you ready for the ride tonight? Let's go, go, go. Boots on the bass, hands in the sky. Hey! We don't come down, we only get high. So high. Boots on the bass, hey! Floor on fire. Hey! Country energy in a festival wide. So high. Boots on the bass, oh yeah. Boots on the bass, oh yeah. Boots on the bass. Turn it up, don't stop. Oh yeah. Little dirt on my shirt, but I feel brand new. Got that long neck shine, going shot for shot with you. You say one more song, I say one more drop. When the synths come in, all the hurt just stops. Just stop, just stop. Stomp once, clap twice, hey, spin you like the lights. Are you ready for the ride tonight? Are you ready for the ride tonight? Come on! Boots on the bass, hey, hands in the sky. Hey, we don't come down, we only get high. So high. Boots on the bass, hey, floor on fire. Hey, country energy in a festival wide. So boots on the bass, ooh yeah. Boots on the bass, ooh yeah. Boots on the bass. Turn it up, don't stop. Oh, we're shouting. Oh, no doubting. Oh, from the bar.
become the British Grand Prix. Out through Aintree, down the Wellington Straight, named after the Vickers Wellington, the medium attack bomber that was housed at the former RAF Silverstone Air Base during the Second World War. Down through Brooklands, into Luffield, and in towards Woodcote, just around the corner here. A little bit of a wobbly exit there for Leroy Donald as he approaches the line. Now, bear in mind, 12 minutes of qualifying coming up here. What they tell us is effectively 10, because those first 2 minutes are considered as almost outlapping territory. So they throw those extra 2 minutes in on top at the end of the, at the start of the session, I should say, to compensate for that outlap the drivers will have to do. And I think they've timed this one pretty well in to perfection. A lap of this track is in the ballpark of about 2 minutes. So it will give drivers, at least if they get very brisk out of the gates here for qualifying, it will give them the best possible start with 10 minutes of available qualifying after their first outlap. We'll see here down to the line goes Owen Camus. Second at the end of this session with Nick Alexander fastest.
Green light, go, go, go.
So then 12 minutes of quali started already, and we see there first out of the gates goes Rudolf Lanieks with Ford. Let's go to catch on board here with the number 112 on his exit of the pit lane, running down parallel through Cops Corner, now on the run towards Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Tucking in behind, and then Donnie Linton and Owen Camus, as it appears to be our first three out onto the track. Two Fords and a McLaren, with Bartek Kowolik now joining to fourth as the number 35 leaves the pit lane. Very close behind, as it appears, there is Timo Fire, and the number 67 Aston Martin makes the fifth car to make its way out. Right behind them, if we go and get a look in with them, I believe is, if I'm not mistaken, that is Mackenzie, if I'm not mistaken, the 44 on their trails. Yes, that is Lewis Mackenzie. PSR Twiglet in chat asking, what's your thoughts on the Mustang being restricted in power? Now, it's a good topic to discuss, and I think looking through the events that have ran LFM's balance of performance, so this being one among them, I know that a derivative of the LFM BOP was used by, at least in some part, or at least great homage to, was used by XCL in their Pro Series when we covered that. That also had engine restrictions on the Mustang. I'm trying to think of a few others that also imposed. I'm pretty sure Race Club UK use LFM BOP as well. I've found the main issue with the engine restrictions is it's very flip-flop on its approach. I've seen championships go on to be still dominated by engine restriction Fords. Conversely, I've also seen them neutered. So I think it comes down to caliber of driver behind the wheel over whether or not these effects are really properly felt. If you've got a driver who's already fast, you stick them in a car that's making just ever so slightly less power. I mean, when you go into the brass tacks of it, 19% of, upwards of about 500, it is a considerable amount. We are talking a decent amount shed away, but they're doing more with less already. You could have dropped them in an older car and they could still perform to standard, if that makes any sense. It's a case where I've seen drivers who are properly exceptional completely brush this off. At the same time, I've also seen drivers who are properly exceptional really take quite a beating with this. It's a very flip-flop approach. Some tracks it works on, others you've got no luck. You'd be better off banning the car from competing if that was the concern of Ford dominating. You may as well just ban the car from the championship. I think what they're doing here is it's fine. It's fine. We see with these drivers as well, they're brushing this off. It's not too bad. It's not great. Of course, no one wants to have their engine restricted, and I think, it was still quite an extreme approach to things, considering trying to rack my brain around this, but in the time of BOP, I never saw any restrictions placed on BMW. Maybe it was a case where BOP came in a little bit later to console, and we only got the integration for that in the last couple of years. But at the same time, the same people who were complaining and restricting the Ford in the same way, surprisingly silent on the topic of the BMW, which was a powerhouse when it joined. It completely wiped the slate clean for what we thought was the top end for the meta. I don't know. It's an area that gets me into a bit of a stir talking about it, but I like the question. Thank you for asking that. Out through Aintree then, on board with Lanieks. And it's going to be curious to see, because there's this balance almost as well. When they nerf the engine, they're also cutting considerable chunks of weight out of the car. Now, conversely, pit skill is just weight on, weight on, weight on, all the time, more weight on the car, and they're still shrugging it off. It's just sort of one of those cars, it's very hard to keep it down. This Ford is just built different, simply put. Does that mean they have a chance here in Silverstone? I'd like to say it's pretty likely. We'll see here from Laney X and Linton, the first two cars to the line to be made by Ford, a 2 minutes .275. Now, bear in mind, we were seeing times in the ballpark of 158s by the end of free practice, so I have pretty high authority to assume we'll be seeing those coming up very shortly. 159.970 there, 158.772 by Owen Camu with McLaren. Another manufacturer that dominated on entry. When the 720S Evo dropped into this game, it took competition by storm. I mean, it was in the time of BMW-led dominance. McLaren was the perfect heel to that. Then Ferrari dropped in through, and more poignantly, we see there dropping in a second goes Leroy Donald in the Ferrari 296. And I think those four cars have massively sort of reworked how drivers think about vehicle choice now, because you see in the same competitions time and time again, it's the same four manufacturers. You get sprinklings of others in there, like Mercedes. We see here with McNally up in the top 5 just recently there in the number 4, and you also got choices of, you know, Wesley Ambrose with Bentley. That's been making a real resurgence, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the community can continue to do with that car. Because we saw it in the console endurance series. It was Bentley-led dominance for the first time ever in TRTN history. That we would see a Bentley back-to-back on victories, triple header on victories. It was an unrivaled machine in endurance racing in the recent months. I'm very curious to know what the community is going to be capable of doing in sprint racing series like this one and like others we cover with cars like this. Because this could be the workaround. This could be where they almost regress a little bit back to the older machines from before 2020 if they want to take on the newer gen machinery from, you know, 2024. And I'd say even more relevantly with the Ford is a case where that you could even make the argument it's 2025 almost there. Well, with the mini run over, we see Owen Camu leading the session. Milan Piconi second with Leroy Donald third. Donnie Linton coming to the line. We'll see if he goes up from 4th place. He's up to 2nd there in the number 10 Mustang. Across the line he goes. Laney X currently 5th. McNally 6th. And Zuzi 7th. This is Daniel O'Brien in the number 88, currently 8th place. Wesley Ambrose in 9th, and Bartek Kovalek rounds out the top 10. Nearest to the line, the 44 on a valid flying lap, as we see here with Mackenzie. The number 86 in front of him was Scaparo, just went across the line to 30. Mackenzie up to 9th. From behind him there, I believe the 67. Yes, that's Timo Fire with Aston Martin in 13th place. Across the line he goes. The 14 and the 23 across the line from behind them. Leroy Donald stays in the top 5 there. We see for the number 23 being Howard Dunn, now up to 6th place with Aston. 5 minutes left to go. Number 35, number 332, number 33, and number 4 coming to the line. And among them, we saw there, big shift up for McNally, back in properly to the top 10. We also see with Jensen Bolton, the number 33 BWT Mercedes, now 6th. And because of that recent rush there by both Mercedes and also by BMW's Kovalek, that has now pushed, and we also see there more recently with Grady and Zuzi to 9th, that pushes Howard Dunn back to the back of the top 10. The local heroes then, Aston Martin, they're some 22 miles as the crow flies away from this track. We just see there recently fastest time, 158.372, number 13, Nick Alexander, now 4/10 up, down to the 1,000th there, ahead of Owen Camu. Yep. Number 66 and number 29 nearest to the line, so we'll go and catch on board here, trailing on the end of it. Just a bit of an upset through Luffield there for Milan Piconi, as he makes his way down through to Woodcote Corner up in front. The number 66 across the line a moment ago.
McCorney
across the line stays 4th place for the time being. Pushed down from the back of the podium. We see the 112 coming to the line from behind them, the number 10. So here come the twin Mustangs of Laney X and Linton. Laney X to the line from 6th. Where does he find himself after that lap? Stays 6th for Linton across the line. Does make an improvement over personal, but stays 3rd. Number 1 and number 444 coming to the line. Owen Camu. Cross the line, stays 4/10 out. The 444 from behind him, that's Evans. We see Evans to 7th. A whole swarm of cars coming in from behind that of Lee Evans, leading that charge then at the moment. The 44 of Lewis Mackenzie. Down to the line he goes with the Ferrari from 15th. Stays 16th, number 108 to the line. So we see approaching the line, it's the Bentley of trying to have a look here, Jaden Johnson.
That's weird.
Was quite a surprise, considering how much advantage under balance of performance Bentley appeared to have coming into this race. It has been rather confusing for us to see then over the course of this qualifying session so far, some 10 minutes in on this 12-minute quali session. Bentley struggling to even make a mark inside of the top 10. Number 66 and number 29 coming to the line.
And
But
even
66
I
of
can hear
Alma
myself.
Brini's to 18th for the number 29 across the line a moment ago. That was for Milan Picconi, stays 5th place. And he's only 700ths out from Leroy Donald to be on the front. Not front, sorry, on the back of that second row. He's at the front of the third row as it stands right now. Number 1 nearest the line, so here comes Owen Camu. Now, bear in mind, the bar has been raised ever since. 158, 120 to beat by Nick Alexander. Needs 652 thousandths of a second. Owen Camu to the line. Can he find it? He does find an improvement, but not enough for pole position. The 444 across the line a moment ago. Lee Evans stays 7th place, up and ahead now of Howard Dunn and Jenson Bolton to make 7th. We'll be looking to start at the front of that 4th row alongside the Aston Martin by way things stand at the moment. Number 14 nearest the line, Leroy Donald. Now only 700ths away from Picconi. Across the line he goes, stays there. Grady and Zuzi from behind, stays 12th. Number 44 across the line a moment ago. And that was for Lewis McKenzie, 15th. Number 35 across the line. A moment ago there for Bartek Kowalik, still trying to make his way into the top 10. Number 68 and number 4 coming to the line. We see here with Sean McNally across the line, stays 10th. From behind, Sebastian Scaparo, 21st. Number 10 nearby, Donnie Linton across the line there. Couldn't find anything in that last lap, but he's got one more shot of things here in Silverstone before we get on to the race at hand. Number 108 across the line a moment ago, and we see it's better late than never then for Bentley's Jaden Johnson. Now into the top 10, 9th place as it stands, and up by the looks of it there, 130 thousandths up over that of Jenson Bolton. But get a look at that gap in between himself and Howard Dunn. That's 3 thousandths of a second to be on the 4th row. The two who shared a podium last week find themselves struggling in either side of it to make a mark in the top 5. Both of them scratching around the back of what is an incredibly close top 10. When you take the considerations then of that leading pair of Alexander and Camu, Alexander, by the way, looking to secure that pole position as Camu retires to the pit lane at the end of this qualifying session. Owen Camu at the best of times looking to start in 2nd place. Nick Alexander stays out for what could be another pole position this season for him. Number 13 on his way out of Chapel. We'll catch on with him in a little bit here. Taking a look, though, down to the nearest car to the line, it's Howard Dunn with Aston Martin. Down through to Brooklands, from behind him, the 44 of Mackenzie. From 8th place, when you consider the gap now having been secured away from Johnson as he comes to the pit lane, Dunn across the line, stays 8th fastest. Number 44 comes in, number 35 nearby, so we will try to check in here if we can with Bartek Kowalik. Can he make the top 10? Not this time around. Starts by looks of it there at the back of the 6th row. Number 68 and number 4 coming to the line. McNally stays 11th. The number 68 of, I believe that was Steve O'Markey, 22nd. Across the line a moment ago. Donnie Linton, 3rd. Stays there for the start of this race, starting on that 2nd row. Number 86 nearby to the line, I believe, coming into the pits as it stands there is Sebastian Scaparo for 21st on this grid. As he comes down to the line, it's Nick Alexander then, currently for pole position. After having a bit of a down-and-out performance last week in Zolder, DNF'd for the first time this season after winning the opening round of the championship. He's got some bits of the ladder to climb yet still, as we hit the season halfway here at round 3 of 6 across the line then. It's Nick Alexander on pole in Silverstone. Ferrari looking to take the fight back to McLaren and Ford after a down-and-out performance in Zolder. Let's see what he can do then. Could it be retribution today for the 13, or are we about to see back-to-back victories on the horizon for Owen Camu? Or could it be the first here this season for Donnie Linton, who starts close behind there on the 2nd row? Or could it be one for Leroy Donald? making his return to the series? Well, all to find out with 30 minutes of racing set to follow. Taking a look back to the session itinerary. Before that, however, we do have a 5-minute break where we'll be talking about recent news in the World Rally Championship and then closing on a deal to secure Rally Argentina back onto the calendar after 8 years away for a possible return as early as 2027. 30 minutes of racing then set to follow after that break. No mandatory pit stops as we're on to the sprint format once again. And as the grid forms up, about 5 minutes then before the start of the formation lap, getting into the topic then at hand, discussing that the WRC is closing on a deal for Rally Argentina to return to the calendar in 2027. Now, this comes upon the trails of fantastic reforms to the calendar we've seen for the WRC in recent years. We've seen they've been on a real hot streak for brand new events in the last couple of seasons, all of which have proven to be fantastic additions to the growing calendar for the World Rally Championship. We saw most recent additions then for Rally Islas Canarias. We also saw the introduction of Rally Paraguay, which is a fantastic chapter in South America. That makes one of two in the continent at the moment after Rally Chile. And we also saw the introduction of the, I believe for a good few years, rally in the Middle East, that being Rally Saudi Arabia that kicked off last year in the last round of the 2025 World Rally Championship. That also was a fantastic addition. Next year coming, we've got the introduction of Rally Scotland, and that marks the first return to Great Britain in 8 or so years. And now it appears Rally Argentina is coming along with. This will make 3 rounds now in South America if it returns to the calendar, marking alongside Paraguay and Chile. And I, for one, cannot wait to hear more news about this one, because Rally Argentina over the last couple of years in the trailing end of the WRC Plus regulations was a phenomenal rally. Brutal by its very nature, but an iconic rally nonetheless, one of which we are still seeing the trailing elements used in its sister series, you could almost say, the World Rally Raid Championship, that still uses older stages of WRC Rally Argentina in its current itinerary. Looking through some of the news regarding that, this will be the first time we've been to Argentina since 2019. That last rally was won by Thierry Neuville in his time with Hyundai. It was a fantastic season as well, the 2019 season. What we do understand at the moment from our point of view is that it's very close. Now, no current confirmation as it stands, but it seems that all signs are now pointing towards Argentina joining the calendar, and that's the same kind of speculation that has governed behind a potential entry for both Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Ireland, and the United States, all of which as of yet unconfirmed. What we do know is it is now very close to confirmation, but nothing 100% just yet. So take a lot of what we're saying today with a pinch of salt, but all signs are now pointing that Argentina will come back for 2027, but we'll wait to see official word from the World Rally Championship. We also brought up, of course, Rally Scotland. That is confirmed to come back for 2027. That'll be kicking off in Aberdeenshire, with its sort of control area being in Aberdeen, with at least one city stage confirmed, a super special set to kick off in the city centre, as per the press release regarding Rally Scotland. We will be thoroughly looking forward to seeing how things unfold then for a possible return then to such a legendary mark as Rally Argentina. More on that another time, though, as we come to the end of our talks with just under 2 minutes left to go. We've got the look of the grid here for Season 4, Round 3 of the MSC GT3 Series, and it's Nick Alexander on pole position. Now, this is a query that I have. Now, we were looking through the regulations, yes, and we're taking a look back through all of it. If I'm not mistaken, for the pit stops, yes, for the 30-minute format, I'm looking at this right here. You can find this on the sim grid for this series. No mandatory pit stops yet. Have a glance there and see those are mandatory pit stops. What on earth is going on here? I think someone hasn't been paying too much attention to the JSON file when they uploaded it for today, but this is going to make an interesting race nonetheless. There was supposed to be, now again, take all of this with a pinch of salt, there was supposed to be no pit stops in this race, but evidently, as we see here, that's trouble, because we now do have pit stops. Less so on that, more so on this. Owen Camus second with Donnie Linton in third, Donald fourth and Picconi fifth, Laney X in sixth place with Evans seventh, Dunn eighth, Johnson ninth and Bolton in 10th, McNally in 11th with Kovalik in 12th and Zuzi 13th, Ambrose 14th, O'Brien, that being Daniel O'Brien, in 15th ahead of Mackenzie in 16th, Barrett 17th, Alan O'Brien in 18th with Fire 19th, Dexter 20th, Scaparo 21st, Markey 22nd and Morrissey in 23rd. Now, this is a very bizarre change. I was not expecting there to be a pit stop. Now, let me just get a look at the regulations that were from last week, because when we had the 60-minute race, of course, in Zolder, it was a case where we had the mandatory pit stop, and that constituted, as I'm seeing here, fuel. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the refueling time was fixed, if I'm not mistaken, to some in the ballpark of 25 seconds. Now, I'll go ahead and double check that over the course of this formation lap. We see taking us away then Nick Alexander and Owen Camus, the two championship rivals to be, as it would stand, make their way down through Copse Corner for the first time. We already see them starting to warm up their tyres, though I think they won't be needing too much hand-holding this time around, as we see here. I've just got word there from race control. Forgot to turn off pit stops, followed by a word that I can't repeat on air, but you can maybe get the understanding that they aren't particularly happy with the blunder. But nonetheless, we'll see how this is all going to unfold. Only refuel at the moment. That's what we've been hearing. That's what we're seeing in regards to that. Getting a look as it would stand for the refueling. I'm pretty sure it was 25-second fixed. If it isn't, then this could make a very interesting race at hand then, because it would be a simple case where they only take on the minimum amount of fuel delivery, which is about 3.2 seconds worth of extra fuel. That's going to make a really quick stop and drop. We see starting for the pit lane as well. So this is a curious one. With 23 cars on track, we'll only see 22 roll down past the line to start this race, because one of them, the 444 of Lee Evans, will start from the pit lane. Now, this is a curious one indeed. It's certainly going to add a bit of unexpected spice to this, albeit very short race at hand. 30 minutes of racing. Now, this was supposed to be really a case the drivers go green and we just keep the hammer down the entire race, no considerations of strategy. But now this is going to present itself a curious little case, because do we see a dead on halfway down the middle kind of strategy? 15 minutes on, 15 minutes on the other. Near enough there where we come in at the 15-minute mark halfway through the race. Or are we going to see a lot of drivers almost treat this like, in rallycross terminology, like a joker lap? They're going to have to divert to the pit lane and, you know, do that at any point. So when we start thinking about it like that, now you find yourselves with a few different strategies. Do we go in very late on the trailing laps of the race? Do we go in very early and undercut the rest of the grid when they have to take it? Many such things to consider, because this has now effectively become the closest thing that we're going to get until the summertime for us here on TRTN. And do keep a close ear to the ground on when we keep talking about this, to a rallycross race here. And I am looking forward to seeing how this one unfolds. Albeit, you know, we are a fair distance away from the actual rallycross track here in Silverstone. That's on the infield course over by the Stowe circuit. That's now been paved over, is no longer in use, but it was part of the World Rallycross Championships, World Rallycross of Great Britain for some time. You can go back and interact with that older rallycross circuit on, I believe, one of the more reliable sources for it is Dirt Rally 2.0, is where you can go and play on that track. If you're, you know, of course, viewing on console. Otherwise, you know, I'm plenty sure there's mods available for that, but less on that, more on this. As we see rolling down to the line, this is certainly going to be one of the more bizarre takes of the series. 30 minutes of racing and an unexpected introduction of a mandatory pit stop. Now, this was a total mistake from race control. They've already owned up to that one, but it looks like we're just going to have to roll with it and face the music as and when it arrives, because heading down towards the line then, as we begin the formation process, heading down through Luffield, down towards Woodcote Corner, 30 minutes on the line here in Silverstone, with a mandatory pit stop in the middle. It's going to be a strange one. Rolling down to the line then. Season 4, round 3 of the MSC ACC GT3 Series, rolling down to the line then. 22 cars on track, one from the pit lane, 23 in all here at the home of the British Grand Prix. Without further ado, rolling down to the line. We are green and racing here in Silverstone. A brilliant start then we see there from Owen Camu. Trying to get up and around the outside on Nick Alexander. It's quite easy to do so here on the first run through Copse Corner. They're side by side on the exit of turn 1. In the background, we see looks to be some side-by-side action to be expected between Laney X, as it appears there, and the look of it there with Leroy Donald. Meanwhile, it's Owen Camu up into a very early lead as we make our way through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Meanwhile, the 144 ran into some trouble out back. That's for Grady and Zuzi with Ferrari. We see in the background already things start to spill just a little bit there. Looking in with Mackenzie, that looked to have got very close to disaster for him as he exits through Chapel Corner. We see a big mix up there on the grid, trying to catch on with the leading pair. We see running way out wide goes Owen Camu. That invites in, as you see there, Alexander to come back through and take the lead of this race. Right in behind there is Rudolph's Laney X and Leroy Donald. We see tucked in behind there Leroy Donald. If I'm taking a look correctly, that, yes, it is. That's Jaden Johnson with Bentley. So never count him out on the race. It was the qualifying that left much to be desired for Bentley today. But as you can see, when pen meets paper, the Bentley is moving and moving at a great rate of knots. Down towards Village then. Alexander from Camu from Laney X, our top 3 at the moment. Great fight back, I must say then, between these two on the race start. Great start at hand there from the number 1. Came apart a little bit at the seams down through Stowe, but invited back in the number 13 at the middle of your screen to the moment, back to the race lead. As we head down the Wellington straight for the first time, it's trouble for the 247. And as it would stand there, and that's for Ben Dexter with BMW down at Village. Trouble for him as it stands at the moment, I believe. That has now since cleared itself out, but we're back in the yellow flags in the background there. That's the 66 car in trouble. Get a look here, Alan O'Brien with trouble after entry on the run towards the Wellington straight. We see approaching from behind is Ben Dexter. We're back in the green flag conditions as these two roll down towards Brooklands. Both of them wounded down through this section of the track. We see some side-by-side action a little further up the road here from Daniel O'Brien. Attempting a fight there on Mackenzie, couldn't find anything of it. To make our way down through Copse Corner. You see here for Steve O'Markey tucked in behind, fighting for 16th place. Looking up through the top 5, we're here with Jensen Bolton in the number 33. Up in front, you can see the Bentley of Jaden Johnson, then the Ferrari of Leroy Donald and the Ford of Rudolph's Laney X. But the leading pair are gaining considerable ground up the road as it stands right now. Getting a look on board. Oh, just a bit of trouble there for Picorni. Getting back on board with the race leader, with Nick Alexander, having won in round 1, DNF in round 2. We did say it's liable for redemption here for the number 13, and he has made a very great start to this race so far, 3 minutes in, already having covered 10% of the distance. We do see yellow flags are out, and I believe it is for Wesley Ambrose with Bentley. As it stands right now, getting a look, yes, it is the case here for Ambrose in trouble. That quickly clears itself back out to green flags. We're on board here with Jaden Johnson, fighting with Leroy Donald, who, as it appears, had a little bit of a blip there. I think it was a case where he dropped a lap and reconnected, but I think he is now fine. I don't think there's any further issues with him as it stands here in the battle of 4th place. On board with Johnson. Bolton about 0.8 of a second behind. We have another yellow flag out as it stands. Getting a look as to whom. It was for the number 29, Milan Picorni, who had a spot above her there. He now joins alongside Wesley Ambrose, but back on board with Johnson v Donald out through Luffield. We're seeing after the first couple of laps here, are any drivers going to start feeling a bit more ambitious to come into the pit lane earlier on? Are they going to start treating this newfound mandatory pit stop like the Joker lap it is? No takers then at the moment, as we're seeing through the field. Still on board with the 108. Bit of a bounce there through Beckett into Chapel. behind him. It is worth considering a possible fight for 5th place coming up if things continue to stagnate. We see, though, anything but from the onboard cameras here of the number 108. On with the helmet camera here of Jaden Johnson as he comes rocketing down towards Stowe Corner. Still side by side as it stands there with the Ferrari of Leroy Donald on the exit of Stowe Corner. Down towards Valen Club. In the fight for 4th place, it's Bentley to the inside, Ferrari to the outside. What chances does Donald have? He goes very long on the brakes there, holds his ground to be on the inside through Club Corner, but you can see his connection is starting to falter. So round the outside here on the exit of Club onto the Hamilton straight, running a bit out wide there. We see both of the cars now chasing that Ferrari, being Bolton and Johnson. Mercedes and Bentley giving challenge here to Ferrari down through Abbey, very nearly too wide between the Mercedes and the Bentley. A 3-way split for 4th place. We see both of them looking possibly for the inside. Covered off as we see there the approach from behind. It's contact from behind them there. Contact with Donnie Linton approaching at a great rate of knots from behind. Getting a look at it on the replay here. We see Linton made very quick ground up. He was on the inside there. The Mercedes come across and there was just a little too late for distance as it stands right now. We see in the background continued fighting for the Merc. Let's go to catch on board here with Bolton as he fights off Howard Dunn with Aston Martin. As we wait for the desync to stabilize, now we're on board here with Bolton. Up in front of him, McNally versus Linton for 6th. Johnson versus Donald for 4th as it stands right now. So we see here a newfound 3-way split. 2 Aston Martins behind him there, that being Howard Dunn in the dark green number 23 and Timo Fire in the number 67 golden Aston from behind. The local cars facing off against talent from Germany then, the Mercedes AMG GT. Behind the wheel, Bolton. They've shared technology before, AMG and Aston Martin, but now AMG is going to find themselves with a very tough crowd to please. They're fighting on Aston's home territory. Some 22 miles as the crow flies from the factory where that V8 Vantage was built by Aston Martin Racing. Down through to Stowe Corner. Number 33 holds its ground, running a little bit wide there after a bounce through Stowe is for Howard Dunn. We see side by side from behind here. Still on board with the Mercedes as we see side by side. Timo Fire looks on the inside of Howard Dunn. Howard Dunn slices off an advance from the number 67. Bolton doing great then so far in the older Mercedes. Bear in mind the Aston is considerably older than the Merc. Both of these cars in the trailing end of the 2010s into the 2020s. This particular model 2020, the car behind him 2019. Speaking of Mercedes cars, we see here when McNally fighting off the 2024 Mustang for control of 6th place. Donnie Linton, after a bit of an abrupt entry into that fight inside the middle of the top 10, now finds himself victim of a perfect switchback, but it's undone with contact between Linton and McNally. Out through Aintree. That was the perfect switchback we saw there. Watch this work its way out. He runs the inside. He goes through and through I go and off we go. But there, was it a case where he drifted a little too further over to the right? Or was it a case where Linton drifted in early to try and take the full racing line at Aintree? The cameras were not super revealing. Meanwhile, we do see Howard Dunn is now up and ahead of Jenson Bolton. It's a bit of trouble then for Mercedes as it stands. They're starting to be swamped in from an advance by Aston Martin at the back of the top 10. Taking a look then through the field as we're some nearly 10 minutes in. It's Alexander from Camby from Laniacs. And then Donald 4th, Johnson 5th, Linton as we see here fending off a 2-pronged defensive by Mercedes and Aston Martin. From 6th place, McNally in 7th, Dunn 8th, Bolton 9th and Fire in 10th. Kovalik right behind them then in 11th place with Nzuzi 12th. Daniel O'Brien in 13th as it stands there with Scaparo side by side with Barrett. On the run in through Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. It looked like a bit of contact between the pair as they come down through Beckett's. Oh, it's contact again there as they both go careening off at Chapel. Oh my goodness. Getting a look on the replays there. A little nudge in through Maggots, then to Beckett's. Then, as we make our way from Beckett's to Chapel, another bit of contact between the pair. You see in the background there, that was Lewis Mackenzie's Ferrari, forced to have run off between the run out of Maggots through Beckett's and just sliced his way through those two and was able to avoid some of the trouble up in front. Getting a look back on then with the fight of the middle of that top 10. Linton, McNally, Dunn, Bolton and Fire. Also worth pointing out there in the background, Kovalik looking to break away into the top 10. You see here McNally trying to hold off an advance by Howard Dunn. He makes a little bit of contact there with the Mercedes of Jenson Bolton. They go barreling nearly 3 abreast on the run through Aintree. Running out wide goes Sean McNally with Mercedes, dropping now in behind his fellow Merc, the 33 of Bolton. As we head down the Wellington Straight, it's the number 23 holding ground, but there goes way earlier onto the brakes on the inside line. On the run to Brooklands, both of the Mercedes cars get around him. We see nearly the 67 by looks of things trying to sneak away in there. That's Timo Fire at the back of the top 10. He's got his hands full with the present company of the BMW of Bartek Kovalik. Now he finds himself thrust into this fight for 8th place as he exits Woodcote. Linton's into the paddock, so now we're in for the scope of a possible fight for 7th. Actually, so never mind. I was about to say actually 6th, but into the wall goes the 67 turnaround by his fellow Aston, the number 23 of Howard Dunn. Getting a look at this down through the run of the National Pit Straight down to Copse Corner. The 23 just ducks a little bit off of the rumble curbs and into the back end of the 67. He was properly boxed in there. Timo Fire, though, suffered the worst of it. Now drops in behind the number 144, Gradian Zuzi, down towards 12th and 13th, roughly. We'll see for Leroy Donald. He is starting to break away into the top 3. Looking to fight shortly here with Rudolf Zlaniaks, the 112, on the podium right now for Ford. Not too far away at all here, the Bentley of Jaden Johnson. Oh, trouble here for Kovalik. Got on the throttle way too early on the exit of Vale into Club Corner. The car just took a bit of a tumble round. Number 10 there, that's Linton, has a stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. We see here for Kovalik about to be intercepted, so it appears, by the approaching pack of Nzuzi and O'Brien. We see here for Daniel O'Brien, he's chasing from behind the Ferrari. Ferrari looking up the inside, so here comes Gradian Zuzi on Bartek Kovalik. Could it open a line up here for the number 88, making our way down through Village now to the loop. The 144 is up at around the 35. What does it present, though, for the 88 and the 67 from behind there? O'Brien and Fire. Meanwhile, recent news from the top 5 as Laniax now drops onto the nose of Johnson. Donald moves to 3rd. Leroy Donald, really a man on a mission here in the number 14. Presently then a 3-way split for a fight upon the podium. Neither of the top 5 cars have come into the pits since the race start. We're nearly at the halfway mark, so we could be seeing that change sometime soon. In terms of nearby gaps, we have got some plenty towards the back of that top 10. As we see at the moment, Timo Fires into the pit lane, so now that brings Wesley Ambrose up to 13th place. Taking a look at this fight here, we do find 4 cars in all presently fighting for what looks to be the scope right now of 9th place. Grady and Zuzi in the 144 leading that charge, but we're on board with the car right behind them, the 35 of Bartek Kovalik with BMW. Behind them, the bright green number 88 McLaren, that's Daniel O'Brien. Then from behind him we see the Red Bull clad Ferrari number 44 of Lewis McKenzie. Then just a little out back there we saw the Bentley number 332 of Wesley Ambrose. The BMW's got the superior straight line speed, but for Kovalik, he's not super confident here in the corners. We saw it down through Vale and Club. The car is wrestling him, so he is having to take a little bit of extra care. That's not the same kind of consideration met by McLaren or Ferrari as it stands, and it's more trouble here for Kovalik. Oh, no, no, no. Kovalik in serious, serious trouble. In the same section of the track here, but this one now spurred on by contact as opposed to driver error. Franzuzi stays in the scope of 9th place, but it's now O'Brien to take stage from behind them. McKenzie close in pursuit as well. We're down through Village. A little bit of connection stuttering there for the 88 of Daniel O'Brien. We see here from Lewis McKenzie's point of view, closing ground on him. Just getting a quick glance up here, we do see recent changes now again for Rudolf Zlaniaks as he drops in behind Jaden Johnson, now moving to 4th place. The Bentley has been on a very, very confident start here in Silverstone, and now as we approach the halfway mark, they find themselves presently part of the top 5 with that potential in front of them, with Leroy Donald only about 2 seconds up the road for a possible return to the podium again. This would mark the, I believe, 3rd in a row for podiums here for Johnson. We'll have to fact check that one. Yes, that would make the third in a row for Jaden Johnson. So he's only about 2 seconds from keeping that accolade lively for a hat-trick at the start of the season. We see here fighting between O'Brien and McKenzie. This is, as it stands then, 10th place up for grabs. Defending angle we're on with here from Daniel O'Brien's point of view. He's come screaming through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel, carrying considerable wads of speed. He's left himself open on the exit of Chapel as we hit the halfway. We see into the pit lane at the moment Kowalik and Alan O'Brien, but from Daniel O'Brien's point of view, he's got present company from behind. Lewis McKenzie looking to try and go up and around the outside on the run down through to Stowe Corner. Meanwhile, there was a momentary yellow flag as we take a look in here from the attacking angle. On with McKenzie, Ambrose behind, and O'Brien ahead. Down through Vale and Club Corner, Ferrari versus McLaren versus Bentley, just up in front of them there. Another Ferrari courtesy of Grady and Zuzi. Yellow flags are out. The 777 in trouble down at Abbey and Farm. And the corner's just coming up around the corner here. Out through Abbey. And as it appears then, that's since cleared itself, so we're back in the green flag conditions as we make our way through Farm, now down towards Village. We see the 88 hesitantly holding the inside. It's contact from behind as he's punted out through Village. Huge hit from behind there. Wesley Ambrose way later onto the brakes than he should have been. And for it, we see colliding with the back end of the 44. Let's get a look here on the replay. Live footage still showing them out through Aintree. You can see there the moment of contact between the pair. The 44, to be fair, has done rather nicely to hit the ground running. And we see for the 332 from behind, Ambrose slows down to allow him back in front. We see here back on with these two as we now find ourselves less so in the fight for 10th, more so in the fight for 11th. As it stands then, more drivers looking at runs into the pit lane, and among them then is McKenzie. Into the pit lane goes Lewis McKenzie. Same story as it stands for Daniel O'Brien. Both of them into the pit lane here. 13 minutes left to go on the grid. Taking a look at where we stand just past the halfway. Alexander in the lead, Camus second, Donald third, Johnson fourth, and Laney X in the top 5. Bolton sixth, McNally 7th, Dunn 8th, and Zuzi 9th, and Ambrose in the top 10. O'Brien in 11th. We see Barrett now up to that 11th place spot as he stays out. So O'Brien to 12th. We see McKenzie into the pit lane. Same story for Ben Dexter. Scaparo about to move up a few positions. Steve O'Markey, same story. Bartek Kowalik, sorry, is about to move up quite a healthy few positions. Here as we see being released from the pits goes McKenzie, but he will be incredibly vulnerable to an approach from BMW's Bartek Kowalik. And the exit here of Cops Corner, they will be running side by side on exit as we see there the Ferrari just in the top end of the screen. The 247 of Ben Dexter has a stop go for speeding in the pit lane. Same story as it stands then for Alan O'Brien. We see on exit of the pits there, McKenzie drops in behind Kowalik. Looking at nearby battles here is about 1.1 seconds at its last interval between the 144 and the number 4. We see for Grady and Zuzi versus Sean McNally. This is ever closer than what the data would previously indicate, with a bit of upset on the exit of the loop. The number 4 is looking vulnerable. Neither of the top 3 having yet come into the pits. We do see that's a different story for another driver on the field as it stands. The 66 of O'Brien is in to serve their stop go. Meanwhile, we see here for the fight of 8th, looking up the inside of Brooklands, he'll be to the outside at Luffield, with a Mercedes holding the inside, and Zuzi v McNally. As it stands there, McNally's into the pits and Zuzi stays out, whether by choice or otherwise. Number 332, we see here with Wesley Ambrose. No considerations yet of a pit lane run. Jonathan Barrett, same story. We'll have to wait to see if there's any verdict there on Scaparo or Markey for that matter. Howard Dunn also in the pit lane at the moment. The number 23, Aston, into the pits. Now, I must say, very bizarre regulations at play here. An accidental pit stop, a rare sight, even in this series. Looking for nearby gaps. I mean, we are starting to find a bit of a thin variety. I'd say one to keep an eye on here, Kowalik versus McKenzie. Might also be worth the shout here as actually getting the leg up over Dunn is Sean McNally. Had a faster pit stop than the 23 Aston. We did see a bit of fidgeting there from Aston to get the car into the correct spot in the pit box. That's cost him a few seconds, and ultimately it has cost him also position as McNally advances. Right now, parked on the rear bumper of, I believe that is their Alan O'Brien. The 66 moving to the right-hand side of the track to let him on through. We see in the background, looks to be some fighting here. Scaparo versus Dunn. Scaparo yet to have taken his pit stop. Dunn having just exited the pits to find himself tucked in behind the 86 Porsche. The Aston Martin looking for the inside, couldn't find anything of it, down at Stowe Corner. 10 minutes left to go. Steve O'Markey into the pit lane. Ben Dexter in to serve the stop go. So going to catch on board then with that Aston Martin, looking to go and find that of Howard Dunn to see this fight between himself and that of Sebastian Scaparo. We see here looking side by side on the run down towards Village. We see though big trouble for him as he takes a big slide on the grass. He caught that left hand side of his car on the run down through to Village, and that sort of dragged him in. He was almost basically riding the rumble strip like you would attempt to do an FS 50-50 on a skateboard. It's gone straight down the middle. It's kept him on rails for the run into the runoff zone on the exit of Village there. That's not been tidy for him. Does drop him out of that fight for 11th for the time being, but he will find himself up to 11th in a moment's time thanks to that difference in strategy. You see Mackenzie v Kovalik. In the last lap there, Mackenzie considerably faster by some scope of about half a second between himself and Kovalik in front. Eight minutes left to go then here in Silverstone, and still no word from the top three when it comes to those pit lanes. Neither Nick Alexander or Owen Camus or Leroy Donald for that matter have yet considered their options. It's worth pointing out though, the remainder of that top five, same story for Johnson. And as we see there, I was about to point this out, this is where we start to see the upset, because the 112 was slowing down considerably. Now we see for why, because he's coming into the pit lane. Rudolf Slanieks into the pits, first among the top five to do so then. So we are seeing, in line with the theory we presented at the start of this race, over the course of that formation lap, where we talked about this almost being played out for the drivers like somewhat of a joker lap, like you would in a rallycross event. They are taking things with a much more extreme hit to the strategy side. So they are able to play around a little bit more, I would say, adversely. Four-tenths of a second between Mackenzie and Kovalik. This is still one of the closest fights on track at the moment as things start to simmer down up in the top 10 after what was a nuclear state of things for the longest time. We see for Lanieks, having left the pit lane, now starts to drop down through the order. The question is, does he emerge ahead of McNally? The answer being yes. So he does find himself 9th on the field right now. And I would say there's considerable chances for him to see the podium by the end of this race if he plays his cards right. He's got about 6 minutes here, so he's just got to keep the hammer down and hope that he can make the time up. He will definitely see a top 5. That's of no question whatsoever. But now's the case is, can he catch Leroy Donald, who's had a very enthusiastic start on his re-entry to the series? That number 14 has certainly impressed. Seen in the pit lane goes Owen Camus. The number one is in. 5.5 minutes to go. Evans also in as it stands. We see him leaving the pits now, just as Camus comes to a stop. And as we see for the number one, it was a stop and drop strategy for him. He's come in, took very little fuel on at all. Basically little sips there of fuel into the engine, dropped off the jacks, and away he goes. The number one back out on track. And as it appears then, would be the case that he's only dropped here the scope of some 3 or so, 4 at a push there. I think 5 positions I think he's got. It might not even be the case there. No, it is the case, but he's only dropped about 3 positions in all, if that. Looking here, Scaparo be done. Bear in mind for Sebastian Scaparo, he still has to come into the pit lane at some point. This is going to be interesting to see how he plays this one out. Through Woodcote. Four minutes left to go then here in Silverstone. And we are looking here from the point of view of Nick Alexander coming into the pit lane. At functionally here, the scope of about 2 more laps, this being the penultimate, as he crosses over onto lap 13. Leroy Donald, we see here, staying out on track. Jaden Johnson follows suit, so it will be a very extreme run of things here for the 14 and the 108. We'll see what is the calling here for Bolton. Also much of the same. So as Owen Camus makes his way back into the top 5, he'll stay in that position with liable chances here to possibly move up to the lead. Now this is a bit of a pipe dream right now for the number one as he makes his way through Woodcote. Alexander just having got off the limiter line at Copse. That gap will start to slim down, but bear in mind they've got really the run of about 1 more lap after this one. They're on lap 13. You see here with Alexander having emerged ahead of Donnie Linton. Linton, who has now since dropped to 17th place after continued troubles over the course of round 3. Oh, hang on a tick there. Who's that in the background? That's the 144 that we just saw off in the background there. That is Gradian Zuzi in big trouble. Get a look at this on the replays here. I think we just might have the trailing end of it. Yes, so you can see in the background, trouble down at, looking at it there, that would have been through Beckett's into Chapel. So he's got onto the brakes, and I think the car's turned around on him if he wasn't caught up with another driver there. Now, we don't know if we have necessarily the, oh, I think we do. I think we need to pull the track map away from here. So now we can come to see what happened. I think this, yes, this was self-inflicted. You see for the 144, the dot there that is now glowing red and white on your screens. Having a look on that replay, yes, that was totally self-inflicted. So there was no one around him at the time that happened. So that was a case where he's come out through Beckett's in the Chapel. He's got onto the brakes and the car's just turned around on him. Picking back up on another close-by fight. Kovalik versus McKenzie for 12th place on the track right now. Number 444 currently in the paddock. I think it might be a soft DNF here for Evans with Mercedes AMG.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you can.
Meanwhile, we crossed over into the final lap as Leroy Donald and Jaden Johnson come in. Jenson Bolton is in a spot of bother here because he has to come to the line with no pit stops having yet been served. So he is in a great deal of trouble. His strategy, if there even was one to begin with, has not worked out for him. Of course, that's a case to consider for a lot of these drivers. They did not come into this race strategizing for a pit stop for 30 minutes worth of racing. They were under the impression that tonight's race would have none. They've had to work very quickly against that, and it's been the thinking man's game on who comes out on top. We see in the background there, Alexander in the lead now, by look of things. With Bolton technically in front of him on track, it will be Alexander under strategy to lead this race. But it does present itself a great query here for Bolton, because he can either, and it's a catch-22 situation, he can stay out ahead of that 13, come down to the checkered flag and get what he gets, and it could very well be, in this possible case, a DSQ at the most extreme end of it. Alternatively, he could drop in behind Alexander and come to the pits and finish the race from the pit lane. I'm pretty sure, though, his pit box is after the timing line, so he is really up this proverbial creek with no paddle. That also presents itself to be the same story for Ambrose and Nzuzi, both of which missing out the chances here. So it does present it to be a very curious case, because Bolton, as it stands, is going to come down to the line to finish first among the fray, but that is a very short-lived victory for him, because with that mandatory pit stop still in place, what is it that he chooses to do? Meanwhile, we see dropping down through the order, a bit of a stutter in there for the 88. We see, though, down to the line, checkered flags out here in Silverstone for a very confusing end to things. Bolton to the line in the 33, first among the frays. He hits the line. It's a 130-second penalty. So for Nick Alexander, he wins in Silverstone. Bolton may have crossed the line first among the fray, but it will be Alexander to win here in round 3. A very bizarre end to what I'm sure is a very bizarre round. Owen Camus then looks to finish second. Leroy Donald on for a podium under the recent state of affairs, and it's also looking to be penalties aloof here for Wesley Ambrose and Grady Nzuzi. To the line then goes Ambrose, 130 seconds on. For Nzuzi, same story here. So that's going to shove Rudolf Lanieks back into the top 5. That's going to be 4th place as it stands for Lanieks. We'll wait for the full result to come through, as we do have what looks to be a resolution here on a possible fight between Dunn and Johnson. Johnson having dropped a considerable distance out behind. The 108, a round to forget here in Silverstone, but still inside the top 10 nonetheless, as he fights here with Howard Dunn to the line. Lanieks finishes 7th on track. That'll be 4th. McNally 5th. Dunn 6th. Johnson 7th. And the end of this race, we see here the resolution on the fight between McKenzie and Kovalik. Down to the line they go. And Kovalik ahead of McKenzie by just a hair's width. Barrett to the line. And this is starting to become a very confusing bit to track here. But looking at it there, he'll be bumped up an extra 3 positions. So he'll be 10th. O'Brien 11th. Fire, looking at it there, 12th. Scaparo facing a 130-second penalty. So we'll wait to see exactly how all of that chooses to drop in. The 29 across the line there, you get to see a more comprehensive look at the results with those penalties in place. So Nick Alexander wins in Silverstone. Owen Camus in 2nd, with Leroy Donald on the podium on return to the series. So what a fantastic return for the 14. Lanieks 4th, McNally 5th, Dunn 6th, Johnson 7th, Kovalik 8th, McKenzie 9th, and Barrett in the top 10. Daniel O'Brien in 11th, Timo Fire in 12th, and then we get to see our drivers who missed that time in the pit. So Bolton, Ambrose, and Nzuzi and Scaparo from 13th to 16th. Then Linton 17th, Dexter 18th, Alan O'Brien in 19th, and Picconi rounds out the top 20. Steve O'Markey also with a 130-second penalty, makes 21st on the grid. 2 DNFs from Liam Morrissey and Lee Evans. Well, what a bizarre round indeed, and back onto winning form for Alexander. His climb back up to the championship lead has officially begun after a down-and-out result in Zolder. It's redemption for the 13 here in Silverstone. Taking a look then on the calendar, we're past the halfway mark. Only 3 more rounds left to go here in Season 4 of the MSC GT3 Series. And taking a look then to where we'll be next, it's the home of the Hungarian Grand Prix over in Magyarország, Pest County, Hungary, at the Hungaroring on the 3rd of April. We're back into mainland Europe then for the rest of the season, with the Hungaroring being round 4, Zandvoort over in the Netherlands on round 5, and Barcelona over in Spain for round 6 at the season finale on the 17th of April, only a few weeks from now. What a bizarre result then we've seen today here in Silverstone against regulations that should have never existed on the field. There was never supposed to be that mandatory pit stop, but it has created very flavorful racing here in a very short amount of time. That's all from us here on TRTN. If you're joining us tomorrow, we'll be live at around 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time tomorrow morning for coverage of the AXRL Southern Summer Endurance Series. We go live tomorrow for round 3 of the championship, and then we've also got follow-up rounds coming up later on in the day tomorrow for the Competizione Performance League World Series and the Shooting Stars Cup by Race Club UK. If you're joining us 2 days from now, we'll be live for another round of the NLRL Sunday League Season 5 on Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Until then, that's all from us here on TRT, and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Take care. Good night.